everyone. I'm Ashutosh from Elit's Technomedia, and I welcome all of this and on virtual new normal. Are teachers enough skilled and equipped? So I just invite one-to-one first of all for the introduction for 2 minutes. So first of all, I would like to invite Manju ma'am, who is the director of Seth Andram Jaipuria Schools, Ghaziabad. So ma'am, please speak something about you.
So first of all, namaskar and a very good afternoon to all the panelists. As Ashutosh has already said, I'm Manju Rana, Principal Cum Director, Seth Anandram Jaipuria School. So you want me to introduce or should you want me to talk on this?
Ma'am, first of all, just a small intro we need.
Yes.
So is the panelists will know each other. So now I would like to invite Meeta Sarma ma'am, Principal Mussoorie International School, Mussoorie. I think she's on mute. Okay. So now I am requesting Mr. Saeed Nasik Razvi, founder, Imania Mission School, Leh and Ladakh.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
Prabhakar, can you unmute them?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, I'm hearing.
Good afternoon to everybody. This is Saeed Nakisha Razvi from Leh Ladakh. I am the chairperson of Imamia Mission School. We have started the education, this institution in 1982. Actually, I'm a mechanical engineer and I was associated with technical education last 15 years. And now I'm in school education and we are running in a very remote area of Ladakh. Most of the students are from tribal area. We are giving free education to them. And this is a charitable organization. Thank you very much.
Great, sir. Now I would like to ask Seema Handa ma'am, who is the Managing Director of Eklavya School, Jalandhar. Ma'am, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. I'm Seema Handa, Managing Director of Eklavya Group of Schools. We have several schools here in Punjab and our associate schools in the west, in Gujarat, Ahmedabad, Vadodara, etc. Our school is K-12 CBSE.
Great. Miss Geetika Sethi, Director Principal, the British School, Panchkula.
Namaskar. Nice to be connected on a platform with learned minds. 70 days we've all been working from home, connecting the teaching and the student community. We run the British schools in Chandigarh, Panchkula and Mohali. And I can see a couple of familiar faces from the last year. Welcome all.
Thank you, ma'am. We have Mr. Kamaljeet Hindsa, Director, Seva International Public School.
Hello, very thanks to the organizers who provide the platform to share the views. I am Kamaljeet Hindsa from Seva International Public School, Lehragaga, and we are known for the learning by doing concept along with the formal education. So we have a lot of activities and a lot of different type of the works which empower the students with the different things. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for introduction. Now I would like to invite again Meeta Sarma ma'am, Principal Mussoorie International School, Mussoorie. Ma'am, can you hear me? Okay, she is not available, I think. So I would like to request Ms. Gulshan Kaur, Principal Bhavan Vidyalaya, Panchkula. Ma'am, please speak about yourself.
A very warm namaste to everyone. It's good to get connected at this platform during this period of pandemic and sharing our thoughts on what we have been through during this pandemic. I am Gulshan Kaur, Principal Bhavan Vidyalaya, Panchkula. I've been in the field of education for the past 22 years, and I've always believed that education is something which unleash your inner potentials, and this is what we work with children. We prepare them for struggles of life. We help them expand their intellect and realize themselves. So that is what I have to say as of now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we have Mr. Anit Arora, Principal, Cambridge International School, Hajipur Road, Dasuha. Sir, can you hear me? He's not here. So now we are going to start the panel now, and I'll give each the panelist around 4 to 5 minutes to speak about the this very important topic. And which is on the teacher, what they are doing during the lockdown and what skills they have to virtual classes. So again, I would like to invite Manju ma'am, and please specify this topic and tell how your school are doing these things to train the teacher for virtual classes and all.
I mean, it's very obvious, first of all, that distance online study will never match a physical presence in a classroom. But then having said that, this is a very new normal, and it is not going to go away, first of all. In fact, I feel that this paradigm shift will bring about a lot of radical change in the school education system. And I think this COVID-19, this unprecedented times that we are all going through, and the shift that we have made from offline classes to online classes, I think is a trigger point for various reforms, actually, which we might see in the coming times. So one thing is for sure that online teaching is here to stay. In Ghaziabad, since my school is in Ghaziabad, and we generally used to face a lot of problem, the schools used to shut down due to pollution or due to any religious movement. And we were already planning to conduct online classes so that we do match up with a lot of working days that we usually lose at that point of time. So for me, if I would say about my school, and about my entire group of Jaipuria group of institutions, I think we are already a technology-driven school, progressive school. So we're really, being honest, we really did not have much problem on shifting from offline to online classes. Our schools are already Microsoft Showcase schools. So the teachers were aware about the various tools. We were already working on Microsoft Teams. Yeah, I mean, of course, later on, of course, Zoom also did come up, and we shifted some of our classes from Microsoft Teams to Zooms also. So it was a good, nice blend of various applications which were available. But if you ask me, Ashutosh, that were our teachers equipped? Were we ready? I would say no. I think we were not ready. But I think since the teachers did have this basic and good understanding of technology and the various tools, I think, and of course, each teacher is very good at delivering her own content. I think they were able to manage. But having said that, all teachers over the country, I would say, not over, went out of the way to adopt from online medium of teaching. I think they emerged as frontline, warriors, I would say, in the education sector is concerned. I think they did adapt to a lot of online medium teaching. They went on to researching online various tools, methodology, material to provide and to ensure that the learning is extremely enriching for the children. In fact, initially, when they started with these online classes, I would see later on, they were also trying to find out, are the children engaged? Because it's very easy to deliver. But the basic challenge is how to engage the children and to find out whether they are alert on these classes. So I think there, the innovation, the creativity of the teacher did matter. So if you would ask me for our group, I think it was a very smooth transition. And I think teacher and technology both together made it happen.
Great, man. Nice thought, man. So again, I would like to invite Mr. Saeed Nasik Rajvi. Sir, please tell what are the initiatives taken by your school and what are the thoughts on these topics of yours?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This virtual learning is not a new thing. We were in India. We have started 15 years back, but it is not an alternative method of conventional learning. We are using this method only for higher classes. We are using for the technical educations, and that's it. We are using this online learning, but due to this COVID-19, we have learned so many things, new ideas and new things. Actually, I'm from Leh. When our session is different than you people you have in Punjab or Chandigarh or in other places. Our sessions start in October and November, and after that we have 3 months winter vacation. Actually, we have a long winter vacation and very, very cool winter. There is -25 to -20, -30, and most of the school closed. But unfortunately, we are starting this our new session in March. Unfortunately, what happened? We have started only for 7 days schooling here, and on 6th of March in Ladakh, all the schools are closed. So we have faced some kind of issues that actually this was the session we have already started, and most of the teachers are to start the new session and these things, but the learning this online this virtual learning. We had already some platforms we are using our school like different Microsoft team, like this Next Education, like this, like that. But the teachers who are working, they are not so equipped. I can say there is a two section of teachers. That teachers who have a service of more than 20 years, 25 years, who are very much trained in their subjects. They doesn't like to become online teaching. They doesn't hesitate to operate such kind of online teaching. The teachers who are new generate comers, who have 5 years, 10 years experience, they are some kind of literate with technology and technicals. That is they are using. I can say we are under process. We are not equipped, but we are on the way to equip. Actually, unless you will not equip, this is the basic need of this time. Without this technology, the education, we cannot run this system of education properly this age. But we are under process. If you will go to the history, India has started in 1960s to 80, the online and virtual such kind of system of education. But after the 20th century, after this, we have progressed much in technology, especially in telecommunications sector. So, but the most challengeable point in such kind of this area, in Ladakh and such kind of backward and rural area of villages, you know that as per the census 2017-18, only 42% in urban area they have internet access, and only 14% of rural area they have internet access. So this is the one basic issue to have a internet access to the students. And one thing more, there is the challenges that the acceptance of this online by the parents. This is one big challenge. Most of the parents, they think that unless they will not go, students will not go to school, they will not get proper. Most of the parents, they are not allowing to touch what you say, telephone, phone, laptop. They are taking and avoiding to use by the students. But it is a need of the time. We have to go in this sector, and our teachers have to get to become expert by this. Otherwise, we will face so many another thing. By this COVID-19, we got such kind of opportunity that we have learned so many things. We have trained our teachers during this 6 months long period. And as my suggestion, I got one big this opportunity that we have 3 months winter vacation during winters. We can use such kind of online teaching. We can use in future also. So by that way, we have to go this sector. You know, we have to train our teachers, but we can't say that they are trained this time. They are fully trained this time. They are not fully trained. They have to train. It is.
Correct. Correct, sir. Sir, I have one question for you. Like, how to reduce burden of teachers, sir? What innovative measures you are using in your school, sir?
No, burden of teachers. Actually, this is the first time we have started this kind of. We are under experiment. We are just experimenting these things. We are not taking any special step, and we are under process, and we are under expecting. You can't say this. We can reduce our burden of these things, but we are seeing the progresses. What we can do.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for your views. Now I would like to invite Seema Handa, ma'am, Managing Director, Eklavya School, Jalandhar. Ma'am, what's your view on this topic?
As shared by the other panelists, Manju ma'am just mentioned that it is a paradigm shift. 10 years back, perhaps even the technology would not have existed for us to have moved online. But even now, today, when the technology exists, the challenge perhaps is not the technology which exists, it's not the content which also exists, the digital content. Now there's a plethora of apps and platforms, digital content which is easily available, can be generated as per the need of the teacher. But the entire impact is actually on the teacher. You know, for the teacher, this sudden shift from a physical class to a digital class, it has really been a leap of faith. There was no preparation, there was no notice, there was no upskilling of the teacher. One day there was a physical class, and the very next day they were required to move digital. And not only to move digital, but to move digital effectively. Also, I would say, when Syed Razvi was just mentioning about, and when you asked him about the pressure on the teachers, I would say, the teacher herself is on a learning curve. There is no precedent to teaching or content online. having technology in the classroom, in the physical classroom, is very different from that same technology and content suddenly moving online. So just the process itself can be very, very challenging. And also because just like in children, we have, different abilities. Similarly, the teachers also bring their personalities to the classroom. Some teachers can adapt, like Syed Razvi sir had mentioned, can adapt easily. Maybe the younger generation, maybe age is a barrier, maybe past experience is a barrier, maybe availability of devices at home is also a barrier. That same teacher may be very effective in the classroom, but may not have access. As we say, the children may not have access. Similarly, maybe not all teachers are equipped with relevant devices, with Wi-Fi and data plans, um, the resources to be able to deliver effectively. So I would say that as much attention as we are paying to the students, in fact, the teachers are the unsung heroes. We talk about the doctors as warriors, we talk about the nurses, we talk about the sanitary workers, we talk about the NGOs, we talk about migrant workers and their problems, and we talk about people who are providing succor and food and support, but we are not talking about the teachers. And as I mentioned, the teacher is not only under stress because of her own learning curve, she's also under stress from the parental expectations. The parent is expecting a seamless experience for the student, that the same kind of learning should happen whether the classroom is digital or physical. Now, for the teacher also, there is, she's under the spotlight. In the physical class, she has control over the classroom. In a digital class, she has no physical control, and at the same time, she is under scrutiny because the parent may also be sitting and watching the delivery during the classroom. Now, the parent may not appreciate that although she is a very good teacher, she is unable to deliver in a digital classroom because of various constraints. It could be her own limitations, like I said, devices, digital network. It could be the limitation of her comfort with digital technology. So there are various challenges which she is trying to overcome. And let me, add one more point here. She also has a family. She also is under lockdown. She also has additional responsibilities within the house, which take up her time. She has her own children, she has her own family. So those expectations are also there. And another thing which is actually a sad statement on the education sector is that a lot of times some parents, I don't know how to phrase this, but parents equate education with infrastructure, with buildings. It not the capability or the expertise of the teacher. And I'm hoping that this moving away from the physical classroom to the digital classroom will actually highlight that education is not the building, is not the infrastructure, it is actually the human touch which is brought in by the teacher, no matter how much digital content may be available in terms of links and PDF files and platforms and apps and different softwares, but the teacher's role is pivotal to all this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, your valuable views on this topic. So now Anit sir has joined the session. So first of all, I would like to invite then Anit sir, Principal Cambridge International School, Dashua. So sir, please introduce yourself first, and then sir speak some that given topics.
Good afternoon, Ashutosh, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And a big thank you to Digital Learning for arranging this meet so that we all can learn and grow. And I've been listening to all the panelists, and they very beautifully explained their point of view. And I truly agree with them that the teachers are into quite a lot of stress. Expectations are very high. And we all are living into uncertainty, and we are not very much sure that how the things are going to unfold after a particular time. Now see, we all need to understand that as far as my background to education or my research would go, see, the education started with the Gurukul concept, especially in this part of the country. And then it has evolved. The change has come, and the evolution has always happened. So we need to understand that evolution would be the key to success, that we all need to evolve. How to evolve? We need to empower. We need to empower all stakeholders. Now, we also need to understand the fact that today the child who is entering, who is into nursery, many of them have attended an online, that was their first experience to school, and that was an online experience. And believe me, these kids would survive for another 80, 90 years of their life. So things would be very different for them. Today, 2.5 years, 3 years, they are exposed to online learning at this age. So maybe their acceptance would be very high, and they would take things in a very different way. Maybe our brain operating system is programmed differently, and we must agree that these kids have got a different way of thinking, and they would definitely adapt to this new change. Now see, if we see 20 years back, it was rote learning. Now we have moved to skill-based kind of teaching. So we all are evolving. So what I personally feel that though teachers were not ready, we were not ready. As a school, if I tell you about my school, we are a big school with around 4,000 plus students, and the parents' expectations are very high. But I salute to all my teachers that they stood up. They all worked hard, and today I see them as winners. I see them that they all accepted this change, and the parents are also accepting gradually. Now, this lockdown brought all teachers, all schools at one platform. Today, if you're teaching in a big school, as Madam told, big infrastructure, or you're teaching in a school with very average infrastructure, everybody was locked down. Everybody had same resource, basic mobile, basic laptop, basic internet. Now, who was ready to thrive? Who was ready to change? Who was ready to unlearn? They took a one step ahead, and today they are widely accepted. And today those teachers would always, today, but I would say that those teachers will go to the next level. So it is unlocking your potential. Now, but I was able to see that many of the teachers whom we were not able to recognize, because we have got a big team of around 200 plus team members, so we were not able to recognize, they beautifully came out with wonderful work. So we were literally mesmerized, the kind of work which they are doing. So what I personally feel that this online thing has provided us flexibility. It can be more efficient. It can be cost effective. All teachers can, if they plan well, they can use all the resources, and they can always build a community. And that community of students, parents will take things, will actually take things to a bigger level. Now, once I post anything online, that gives me a chance for self-reflection. I introspect, I see, and then I'm observed by everyone. Now, once I put my a video in a public domain. People would watch my video, they'll give their inputs. So that is a wonderful tool of introspecting and understanding that where the things have gone wrong and how I could actually improve. So anybody who would thrive and anybody who would take this as a challenge, though there are difficulties for all the teachers managing work back home, managing office, expectations of school, society, it's a big deal. But they could always grow with this. Now, it is always about evolving. It is always about understanding that survival for fittest, though it's a very, very hard term, but it is going to happen. Anyone who is going to strive, anyone who is going to learn, unlearn, will survive for another 10 years or another 20 years. Now, we should not discuss about problems. We should always find out possibilities, because possibilities will always take us one step ahead. Because but I personally believe that we should focus what we can do. We should not focus on things where we cannot contribute. Now, as a teacher, what I can do, I can empower my team members, I can empower my parents, I can empower my people, I can empower my team around. So I should focus on this rather than focusing on things which I cannot change. Now, but I feel that within next 10 years, we'll come up with quite a lot of augmented reality thing, and we'll have some kind of virtual classrooms which can be more fun for the students, and maybe what all regular classes we take, and maybe some extra classes which we were taking on Saturdays and Sundays, and we can continue with this online mode for Saturdays and Sundays regularly, even after the lockdown can open. And believe me, many of the parents approached me and they said, "Sir, we are enjoying this and don't stop this once the school even starts." So they want that we should continue with this. So that's a very good sign that people are accepting this. And see, now students are saving time to travel. They are not actually traveling a lot. Then if you see at the positive side, I believe that it's a big learning curve for all of us. And I'm a computer science graduate. I'm an engineer. I've done my engineering in computer science. So that gave me an edge, so that I could understand all the nitty-gritties in a better way. So, but I would say that a big salute to all the teachers, those who are working very hard. A big salute to all the students, those who are also trying to understand and taking this online learning to the next level. So I think we must go forward with the same spirit and be very positive at this point of time, because as a teacher, as a head, if I'm positive, if I'm ready to unlearn and learn, then only my team will accept this. So as a head, I need to talk about possibilities. I need to talk about opportunities to learn. I need to always think how we need to empower each other. And collaboration would be the key, how different schools can collaborate, how all heads can collaborate to take things to the next level, because no one was prepared. We all are learning. So this is what I would like to say, that the online thing is flexible, efficient, cost effective. We can be creative, we can do self-reflection, we can observe, and we can gracefully take feedback. So I believe that it would be even after 10 years, even after 15 years, this online learning would be very much in, and all progressive schools will adopt this. So thank you very much, Ashutosh, and all the panelists for giving me this particular chance to express my views. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So well said, sir. Evolution is the key to success. And now, sir, okay, as we are going short of time, would request all the panelists to please be a little brief while sharing your views. So now I would like to invite Geetika Sethi, ma'am, Director, the British School, Panchkula. Ma'am, what is your views on the topic?
Well, all the panelists have been speaking from their heart. Whether it was Ma'am Seema or the gentleman right now, the ICT revolution, which was waiting to happen, somehow got accelerated. Overnight, all of us took the challenge. The day we all went back home, the next morning, the heads of all the institutions had meeting with their staff members. Many of us were to release our results. Many of us were still in the midst of conducting examinations, but we all came together. Whether we were technology savvy or not, whether we had devices or not, all these questions were put on the back burner. And what was important that time was to connect to the student. Within a span of the lockdown, online classes began, where there were initial hiccups, and those hiccups were also taken care by the IT team of each and every school, and teachers who never used to enter the IT room also took help of the IT teachers and got their classes onto the roll. Slowly, we saw that students started sitting across on the table chair. First, it was a very casual approach. Slowly, they took to the approach, and now we get to see virtual classrooms happening. We were not prepared for them to happen overnight. Most of the Indian schools had smart boards, were using cloud technology, and so-called other words to say, yes, we are a new generation school. But COVID somehow said, okay, you are a new generation school, prove yourself now. So there was no preparedness, but taking precautionary measures, classrooms started happening. Now, once classrooms starting happening, teachers took up the challenge as how to deliver lessons. While delivering lessons, what was amiss was the teacher-student contact in the real life situation. Slowly, we as a school added life skills, a very important content. By adding good 5 minutes of a life skill session into each classroom every day, we saw a change, a very positive change, which I would like to share with my colleagues. There was a certain amount of resistance in the parent community that my child will be sitting online, he'll not be monitored, or probably the app that you're using is not secure. There was a lot of resistance. That resistance slowly started moving towards cooperation when they saw their children working, when they saw their children learning, when they saw their children submitting homework online. So this slow change is coming, and with all of us, when we sit, we exchange ideas. This is an opportunity which we as a nation would now get to put ourselves on an international platform. We have a very good education system till K-12. Nobody wants their child to study in UK, US, or any other country whilst during the school years. So this platform will actually help the rest of the world to see how good we are. Challenges, we are teachers. We've accepted them in our direction with a lot of positive thought. And I'm sure the other members on the panel will agree, our teachers are working double the hours. Now they have no Sunday, they have no public holiday. So they've taken it up with the very right spirit, taking the Indian education level system to the next level, where most of us are going to graduate to be an ICT school. So on that note, Ashutosh, since you are running short of time, I would love to move to the other person.
So thank you, Gitika ma'am, for your insightful views. Well, hats off to all the teachers. So now I would like to request Gulshan ma'am. So ma'am, please share your views on this topic.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello, am I audible? Okay. This pandemic, I mean, nobody must have expected it. It was a jolt from the blue, and we were not prepared. That is what all of us do agree and unanimously agree on it. Coming to the preparedness for this, of course, it was like, throwing into a river where you don't know how to swim. And then we all started struggling, and the skills we had, we started swimming, and probably we are emerging, evolving as better swimmers now. So this, I would like to add Audrey Waters' remark. She says, "What we now find ourselves in an era of remarkable potential for education, when it's a great time to be a learner, thanks in no small part to new technologies, which offer us exciting new opportunities for learning new things in new ways with new people." So our teachers, who have been, the builders for the nation, they have now moved into a new journey from their brick and mortar classrooms, the real classrooms, to their online meeting rooms. The journey had been full of challenges, and the challenges were to be transformed to opportunities and learnings by defining modalities. Here it was that the learning designs were to be free. It was not that easy for any one of us, because we were not exposed to any such situation. We used to use technology, we used to use online, resources, but it was to complement your classroom teaching, right? It was to facilitate better learning, but it was never to substitute your real connects. So this online learning or virtual classrooms, the people and pedagogy remained the same. What got added was the real connect got converted to virtual connects. And here, when you're converting from real to virtual connects, your learning objectives and outcomes, they are not changed. They are the same. But then how do you meet them without having a physical connect established? That was a big challenge to the teachers in terms of content development, content delivery, standardizing and quality check of what you are going to deliver. Then, besides that, a constant scrutiny, because you will be now critically taken care of, critically observed by the parents, and you may have some very unfriendly remarks. And all the more, you don't have gadgets, you're not trained, you are facing all sorts of challenges. Despite that, we survived. Despite that, we moved ahead because we were ready for this.
So I think she disconnected, I think. Yes. So now I would like to Kamaljeet Dhindsa, sir. Sir, please share your views on the topic.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Kamaljeet Dhindsa, Director, SIPA International School. And I done my post-graduation with the philosophy. So during this lockdown time, when we start the classes, our teachers are not so trained for that, but because we are working in a very, very remote area, and our students' background that mostly more than 75% parents are
it got disconnected. Should I continue, Ashutosh?
Yes, ma'am. After this, ma'am.
Okay.
After this, you can continue.
So mostly more than 75% parents are under matric. So it's a very hard task for us, but our teachers, as the Seema man told, that our teachers work very hard. They develop their skills and deliver the lecture. And then the things come, what we have to deliver. It's education, what we are teaching, or learning. So we choose learning and understanding. We introduce many type of the activities because we are our team. We don't go through the syllabus in these days, only little parts, but a lot of activities which develop the students' skills. So I share some activities. We ask to the students to make their house water consumption budget. So how much a big tank they have, daily consumption, how much water input, output, how much water is used for the kitchen and other works, domestic works. And they, for full week, they make a budget of water at their home. So they learn a lot of things, awareness, calculating the things, and measuring the things. So then we are taking measurement of your house, measure covered area and the size of the room, size of the windows and other things. The third thing, we introduced the family tree. Family tree means with the 150 relative names. So they develop their communication skills. They have to call all their relatives, mention their names, mention their address, and make a big family tree of the more than 100 or 150 relative names. So when we gave this little relaxation in the lockdown, then we introduced with the help of your parents, you go for your town or village water supply system and sewerage system, how it's work. Then we, in the all language teachers, we develop their to develop their understanding how they watch the things, they write what they feel during this lockdown time. They what their father feel, they take the interview, and if they met any sweeper in the street, they interview to them, because those are the forces will come out from the home and doing the cleanliness for the whole society. So they interviewed them. Then we engage all the students with the different activities. So like the basic math, how to implement, then the science, where the science, our mostly teacher lectures are not directly based on the syllabus, but how those, because sometimes the students feel that what is the work of this formulas and other things in the daily life. So we convert all the take them out from the syllabus and try to, they will do some like of the activities which they understand, and the learning, they understand the value of this education. And because we know through lectures, delivery of the lectures for the particular syllabus, they feel the bore, and it's not possible. They write the question answers and other things. So we have to teachers stop all these things which are directly related to the syllabus. Just all type of the activities in the case. So I ask them they will write a letter to the deputy commissioner that our area is safe. How these all police forces, doctors, and other sweepers help us to stay at home. They write letters to them. Then we give a task. They will write letter to their relatives who are very far away, or otherwise some are in the red zone. How they are feeling. There is no syllabus during this time, but they are learning this time. We utilize this time for their skills. So, and it's very nice to provide the chance to me to share these ideas with all the educators. Thank you. Thank you, Ashutosh.
Thank you, sir, for your inputs. And with this, we have reached at the end of our session. And I would like to have a closing remarks from each one of you. What will be the preparation of the school post-COVID? And let's start with you, Gulshan ma'am.
See, Ashutosh, post-COVID, if we envisage and if we try to imagine what the situation is going to be, there will be more focus on blended learning, whereby we'll have to maintain a balance of online mode with the real classrooms. Might be we will have to work on different modalities. Our learning objectives may change, whereby we may focus on more of well-being and constructive engagements of the junior kids, while for the seniors we'll have to focus on their academic excellence and their confidence building. Besides that, health and hygiene measures and other issues will also have to be taken care of. What I missed out because of the disconnection that happened, I was trying to tell you people that, you see, it had been a bigger challenge when we have faced this type of situation. I won't call it difficult. It was a different situation altogether. It has made us value many things. It has developed resilience in all of us. And I think now our teachers are more confident. When you are put to scrutiny, you develop confidence. You don't give up. You try to give in your best. And I'm so proud of my teachers that they have come out of it. They are more confident and my students more resilient. And I'm looking forward to more responsible students post-COVID, because now they will be more responsible for their learning. So self-paced learning, self-exploration, and self-motivation is what they have learned during this COVID time. They have learned the value of people around. So they will be more, good in their intrapersonal relations now. And with given all these good virtues and qualities, what the children and the teachers are going to come up with, post-COVID will be a wonderful time. I assure you, take my word. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Syed sir, your views on this closing remark topic, sir.
Yes, so many good ideas have given by the panelists. I have the idea that post-COVID, we have maybe changed in every form of life, not only education. So many things has changed and so many ideas new ideas will be there. My main thing is we should reduce the pressure on the students. We should not put the pressure of syllabus and covering of these subjects and these things, but we should give some new ideas. And I'm thinking that we will give them new idea to keep self-health, hygiene, self-health, and care of their family hygiene and health. And especially we are using the food, junk food and this thing which has been banned during this 2 or 3 months. Maybe the students will get a good ideas to avoid such kind of things. And I think the post-COVID will be very new era for all of us, especially in education system. We have to change our path, not only to go syllabus covering, examination, test, and this thing we have to put, and we have to give them chance to work their service to new innovation and new creation, and this thing we will put to the students. And I think our education system may do such kind of activities and curriculums like that. It's my idea.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Anit sir, what is your closing remark? What will the preparation of the schools after COVID, post-COVID? Sir, please unmute your.
Thank you, Ashutosh. And see, my point of view would be the school has to be very well prepared after COVID. The moment the lockdown is over and we need to restart the schools, then first thing, we need to have all SOPs ready for every department, like for classrooms, for all the housekeeping team, cafeteria team, bus team, how to sanitize, what are the different protocols. So I think every school should develop a small manual that how different areas would function. And then there has to be a complete undertaking by all the team members. That undertaking has to be very professionally signed, because it's something we are dealing with health, and we cannot take it lightly. So I think the school has to develop a complete manual, a complete set of rules that how exactly we need to function after this COVID is over. So the admin team along with the principal has to scrutinize everything and be very much prepared. And believe me, it would take 1 month just to prepare those all nitty-gritty so that we are sure how we need to start. Secondly, this is the admin part. And as far as academics are concerned, I think this blended teaching would go. We need to blend it beautifully, this online and offline thing, because schools would not start at a stretch, like maybe it is odd and even, or 3 days school or 3 days off. So I think this will continue for another 1 year or 2 years. So keeping our fingers crossed. So what I feel that this is the time where we can empower, learn, and we can grow. And we need to do quite a lot of work with all the team members, so they all polish their skills and they are more professional, because today we are exposed to everyone, like everybody around can scrutinize our work. So I think hard work would be the key to success. Preparation and preparedness would be the key to success. This I would say post-COVID planning would be the most important thing. And any school who will be able to do this will survive and do well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Gitika ma'am, what is your views?
Yes. Am I audible, Ashutosh?
Yes, ma'am. Now.
Taking a clue from what the gentleman just said about the 3 Ps, the preparation, the precaution, and the prevention. So the administrative side of any school, any institution would now have to work like the defense forces. And our common enemy right now is the virus. So where the administrative side would take care of all this with the right set of do's and don'ts from the MHRD. The second, which is a very vital point, would be the human relations. There is a lot of emotional void which would be there present in children. There'll be a lot of unasked questions which they can only ask their teacher. So the teachers are gearing themselves, preparing themselves with the right set of from where they are now today and help them move towards tomorrow, because there always is a tomorrow. There's a sunrise all the time. So moving from the 3 Ps, we'll have to take care of the human relations. We'll have to understand that a child is going to be very happy coming to school. He would love to meet his friends. He would love to walk through those corridors, hide the moment he sees the principal. They would want to go to the basketball court, but the parent will be very scared sending his child. So apart from catering to the emotional need of the student, we'll have to prepare the parent's mind. We'll have to prepare the society to get back to care, and we together with all such discussions and putting in some positivity can certainly move into the post-COVID era. Thank you, Ashutosh.
Great inputs, ma'am. Now, Kamaljit sir, your closing view on the post-preparedness of school. Sir, please summarize in 1 minute.
Already, all panelists tell about the precaution and prevention and other things. So we all, as education leaders, we take care all of the aspects before starting the schools, and from the beginning from the vans up to the washrooms, and it's a very good idea to undertaking from the colleagues, and everybody fix their responsibility and take care of it, because it's a very tough time when we start the school, because it's the first time when all the students come to the school, and a school where social distancing is now a very big challenge for us. So we have to plan for that, and we have to take all aspects of the care. We don't want to leave any loophole for it. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Nice input, sir. Seema ma'am, Seema Handa ma'am, please.
Yes, Ashutosh, there is no question the teachers have emerged as the champions of the present COVID time. And, the way forward is to support them to move from what we call digital literacy to digital fluency. In fluency, I would add the 21st century skills of collaboration, cooperation, communication, etc. because we are not going back to the way education was prior to COVID. It is going to be blended. It is going to be, a mixed learning forward. Teaching and learning will have changed forever, and we need to address that issue in the time that we now have. On the administrative front, I think we need to have a multi-pronged approach. What I'm expecting is that the senior classes may come back to school sometime in July or August. So we need to have a plan for those students. The primary students may be the last, the pre-primary and the primary students may be the last to come back to school, or it may actually be that the session ends without them actually coming physically to school. So we have to have a different set of strategies, a different set of approach. The teachers have to think and align themselves accordingly. How to approach the senior and middle school, how to approach pre-primary and primary. For the school also, this will be a challenge to have a multi-pronged strategy for different children, for different age groups. But this is something that I feel, we as the administration has to focus on. Of course, also I have been emphasizing that the staff, the teachers have done a wonderful job, but it's something which doesn't get highlighted beyond a word of appreciation. If something like, in the schools, we could have a drive like My Teacher, My Pride, where the students, the parents, the entire community gets involved in understanding the challenges that the teachers have overcome. And, it would be a huge source of encouragement for the teacher to continue to engage the students and the parents, and to remain truly motivated in these times. So I think kudos to all the teachers once again.
Thank you, ma'am. Totally
Thank you,
agree
Ashutosh.
with you, Seema, ma'am. And new approach taking is on the. So now, Manju, ma'am, closing remarks on this. Ma'am, please unmute your mic. Yes.
Yeah, so when you are the last person to speak, I think more or less everything is being covered by the panelist. But having said that, I think, of course, the teachers, as I think Seema and all the other panelists have said over the time, that they of course emerged the best out of this situation. I think it was a great learning. But I think now is the time for all the school leaders, ab hamara samay shuru hota hai, because now since the children are going to come back to the school, and I think if Ashutosh gives me this liberty, I can say that I think there are 3 things which are now completely non-negotiable for the school leaders. First is, of course, communication. I think now communication will play a very, very important role. Like Mr. Arora said, that we need to have standard operating procedures in place. So orientation of the parent, orientation of the student is extremely important, because I think they are all excited also. I mean, I'm sure they're happy with the online classes, but I'm sure they're very excited to come back to the school. So how do we orient them? How do we orient the new parents, who were excited to send their children for the pre-primary classes, which are the nursery classes? So we need to orient them. And the most important thing is that now is the time for preparedness. I mean, all of us need to prepare to welcome children back to the school. And I think as far as academics is concerned, yes, there were a lot of new things which will happen. I mean, there will be a lot of new norms. I don't know, I'm expecting homeschooling to also to be a new normal, which might happen in future. And of course, we have to call children. Mine is a large school. I have about 5,000 children in the school. So of course, we need to stagger it over. We need to start with the senior children, could be 9, 10, 11, 12. see how you can maintain social distancing in the school. You need to have a classroom management in place, safety, hygiene. It's very easy said and done, but it's very, very difficult to have that on the school. So all these measures needs to be taken, because after all, if a parent sends a child to the school, it will be on the complete trust. So I think we have no reason to have a slackness and allow COVID to attack any of the child. So yes, guidelines, and the most important for me is also a challenge of how to train these support staff. So I think we also need to have some standard operating procedures for them too. So yeah, and posters and signage. I think these will all be new norms, new things in the school. So I think the entire school scenario is going to change. But having said that, the school will be, come to life when you have students and teachers in the school. So I'm really excited for post-COVID. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for great inputs, ma'am. I think it was a great session with lots of takeaways for all of us. So I really hope we come out from this like a flying colors. So thank you to all. It was great to have you on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashutosh, for allowing us to share our views. It was a great learning experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashutosh. And thank you all the panelists for enlightening us with your thoughts.
It was nice interacting. We all are in the same situation, all same issues and same problems. So it's very nice.
We are sharing same concerns, but then we are quite hopeful and we are very positive. What's going to happen is going to be better than what we are facing now.
Thank you, Ashutosh. It was very well conducted. Thank you.